Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of the Soul-Centered CEO Show featuring my dear friend, Chantelle Adams. We're so excited to have you on this week's episode where we dive into what it feels like and looks like to become a soul-centered CEO. Welcome to this week's episode of the Soul-Centered CEO Show. I am so excited to be joined this week by my sweet friend, Chantelle Adams. I'm so excited to have you here, Chantelle. So welcome to this week's episode. Chantelle is first and foremost a dear friend, and also just I would say one of the most ongoing and supportive partners and collaborators and just soul sisters in this journey that I've been on personally. I know I'm not the only one. She plays an extraordinary role in so many lives, and her focus in her business has really been based on storytelling, right? Storytelling and how we take our stories and turn it into our message and ultimately our magic. And she has been a gifted storyteller herself and also a speaker, professional speaker. I mean, you've done like what, 1,000 speeches over the years, like more than 1,000, like just so much experience in that way. You've been such a pivotal part in teaching other women how to step on a stage and how to shine their light by sharing their message. And it's just such an honor and a blessing to have you with us today. So welcome to this week's episode of the Soul-Centered CEO Show.
Well, thank you so much for that welcome. That was just beautiful. And I'm so excited for this conversation. It's always magical when we are able to dive in and talk about the things that we love and believe and are so aligned in. And so I know this conversation is going to be powerful and I can't wait.
What I'd like to do is just dive right in and talk about, one is, this whole series of shows and episodes and conversations, really is what they are, is around what it means to be and become what I call a soul-centered CEO. And I think for me, the definition that I always think about when I think of that is how we create business models that give back. Not only are they the fullest expression of ourselves and our soul and our work in the world, but at the heart of the business is service. And I think you and I probably have gone so far back on this particular point because, when we met, it was really around the idea of give back and service, right? And that was what, 5 years ago, 6 years ago now, Courage to Fly?
I think it's been 7, but I have lost track of time, but it's been
oh my gosh, you know what, it is 7. Sorry. It is 7 years because I remember I was part of your project, that Courage to Fly project, right before my 40th birthday. It was like 6 months before I turned 40, and I have a birthday in 3 weeks. So it's been 6-7 years, right? So that's so amazing. And, for those of you that are listening that aren't already in Chantelle's world or familiar with her story, do you want to share us just that snippet of what you created with that Courage to Fly project? Because I feel like that was kind of the domino that started this whole thing that now we end up in this full circle moment of having this conversation. So I would love for you to share that story of what prompted you to create that project and what your mission and vision was with it, and then how it kind of set you up to create your own soul-centered CEO business in life. Because I think it's really important to share how we get started in this way.
Absolutely. So thank you. And it's such a fun, magical story. So how we connected, and on service. And that is something that's been the thread of our connection, our relationship, and who we are. And I just am so grateful for the people that come into our world at certain times and moments. And for me, it actually had come to this place where I was exploring business and how I could serve in a bigger way, and really feeling the call, but still not fully landed in what am I meant to be doing. And so, that exploration phase, but it was actually in loss that I find often we find the greatest meaning in life too. And so at the time, I had lost a really beautiful friend to breast cancer, and she was not much older than me. And it hit me so hard sitting, at her funeral, and her oldest son was giving a beautiful, sharing all of the stories of her life, even up to kind of her final moments. And he said, right up to the final breath, she wasn't done fighting, and she wasn't done fighting because she wasn't done living. And those are the words that basically felt like a gut punch, knocked the wind out of me. But they're the words that spurred me into a conversation with my heart, a reflection on my life of, am I really truly living? And there was this feeling that I wasn't, and I needed to explore it. And as I explored it, I realized that fear had really been a common theme in my life without me fully realizing it. And that I had let fear decide, the fear of not being enough, the fear of what others would think, the fear of failure. All of these things had really stopped me from being the fullest expression of who I am in the world. And so that's where I actually sat down and, in my friend's honor, made this fear list and decided then and there that I was going to face all of my fears. And one of the fears was jumping out of an airplane. I started with kind of more of these adventure type fears, and through the years I've navigated all the other types of fears that are deeper. And so this fear was on my list, and I had the invitation to jump. But as I said yes, and this is like, I'm terrified of heights, what am I doing? I almost backed out. And this thought has carried me through my entire business, was I needed to make my why bigger than my fear. And so that's where I felt it's not just about me. Like, if I can do this thing and jumping out of this airplane for something bigger than me, for something outside of myself, then it's not about me. And that's been a true statement throughout my entire business, of like coming back to making my why bigger than my fear, of visibility, of putting myself out there, of speaking, of growing a business, of showing up, all of these things. And that moment was, I decided to build a school in Nicaragua and fall 10,000 feet out of an airplane to raise $10,000 for this school. And then I was like, well, wait a minute. How am I going to do this? And so in this Facebook group that we were both a part of, I put this intention out that I needed support. I needed support to build a platform for fundraising. And then I had this idea of, what if we all shared our stories of courage? What if every person who donated to this project to build this school in Nicaragua with me as I jumped out of this airplane and faced my fear, what if we collaborated on a book? And did this, of course, the big thinker in me, the big dreamer in me is like, we're not just going to jump out of an airplane. We're going to raise $10,000. We're going to co-author a book. We're going to do it all together. All the things, it's exactly what we're talking about today. Connection, collaboration, service, higher visions. And so in that, I had someone show up to build a website, someone to help edit the book, someone to help, like, all of these women came together. And I thought maybe 10 women would raise their hand to contribute to this book and be a part of this project. And there were over 60. And you were one of them.
And that's how the magic began.
And that's how the magic begins. And I love your side of the story of coming into this experience and being able to, I would love for you to share, like, you in that moment. So me following my highest truth alignment, doing something out of just pure service, love, something bigger than me, creating something and inviting other people into the vision with me, then we can do so much more together. And it's in that alignment that the right people find you, because it's that energetic, magnetic energy that's like, heck yes, the universe is gonna bring us all together for this higher purpose.
Yeah, and I think so. So what's beautiful is in that moment of me saying yes to your project, right? Literally like 2 months before that, I had just quit. I was a senior level executive in the corporate wellness field. That was my career path. I'd been in that industry for over 20 years. And I finally realized that what I really wanted to be doing was being able, that I loved what I was doing, but I also felt like there was more. There was more service and more giving that I wanted to do. And so, you know how you do that little checkpoint, like around your 40th birthday, everyone's like, okay, it's getting real. Like, let's just review here what's really happening. And I realized that what I deeply wanted, and I don't have kids, so I was like, what's my legacy? You start to think, like, what's my legacy? What am I going to leave behind? And for me, I thought, why don't I make the commitment to build one school per year for the next 10 years? So from 40 to 50, I thought that is going to be my legacy. I'm going to build 10 schools in 10 years. It was like $10,000 each. I thought that feels so available. I'm going to totally do that. And in my mind, I thought I'm going to do that by myself. I didn't have the mindset yet of like being part of someone else doing a thing. Yeah. So that's where it came in with you, because you were like, we're going to all do this together. And I was like, wait, what? You mean I can just be part of something that is still going to create the impact that I wanted, but I don't have to do it alone. So point number one, right?
Oh, full body goosebumps on that. This is
the first moment, really, Chantelle, because my whole life I've been like, I get it done. I was like, execute this, that, go, go, go. Like, I'm a big dreamer, but I'm also like, I get it done. And I always decided I could just do it myself, right? Why not? If I can do it myself. So that was a huge shift in my mindset of how much more magic we can create when we don't have to do it by ourselves, right? We're going to talk, I want to bring that point back at the end, because I think it's really, really important now more than ever. But so basically what happened is I had just put on my vision pages. I was still really into vision pages, and I was recreating this whole new chapter of my life. And I had put, build a school in Africa, you know, service, this and that. And at the top of the page, I had written the words, or I had taken out of the magazine. I didn't even write them myself. I found them in a magazine. And the name of that page, because, you know, each page had a theme, was The Courage to Fly. So when I saw your project, I was like, oh my goodness.
And that was the name of the project. Let's just hit that home. So I actually named the project The Courage to Fly Project.
And I was like, I'm a yes. That's a yes for me. Hello. So I signed right up. And of course, what the beautiful part of that is that was just the first thread of this, right? So not only do I commit to being part of that, I submit my story, which was really brave. Like, it was a brave thing to do at the time, to leave my career and really start over and do exactly what I was born to do. And it's been beautiful, not without its little, you know, ebbs and flows, but overall extraordinary. But what happened is, fast forward a year, maybe 2 years or 3, no, it was longer than that. Probably 3 years later, after I was part of that project, I went on my first service trip, because one of my soul's like dreams and longings was to take women on really beautiful, kind of like a service meets sparkle experience, right? Where I wanted to redefine what service trips were. I wanted it to not, service didn't need to be suffering. It could be sparkling. We could go somewhere and give back and it still be lovely. You know, there could still be air conditioning, because, you know, I do that.
Yes.
So I went on my first trip because I'm a huge believer in the fact that I'm not going to teach or share or create something that I haven't experienced myself. That's just really important to me. So I go on my first service trip, and I'm standing there with this really beautiful group of ladies in Nicaragua, and we have just put together, we've just built like 20 homes in 3 days. It was crazy. And we go to this other place a few hours away from where we were doing the work. And it was this place called Monty's. And so I spent a couple of days there, and I was having this lovely conversation with the owner there. And we were talking about the fact that I wanted to create a jewelry line for women to help them create revenue, and that I could sell like for them, you know, kind of be the intermediary, help them create a business, teach them how to manage a business, how to teach them how they, you know, to do these crafts and things. And he was like, oh my gosh, well, I've got a group of ladies that can absolutely do that. So we have a conversation, and they say, absolutely, we'd love to be part of this. And at the end of it, I said, what is your big dream? Much like I asked pretty much everyone else that I've ever met. What is the one thing? What's the one thing that if you had it would be like a dream come true, an absolute dream come true? And she said, we would love to live together on a farm. They were living in homes that were being washed away by the water. They were too close to the shore. And so she said, we'd love to have a farm where we could build homes that could be our forever homes. And I was like, well, looks like that's the next project, right? So I come home thinking, I need to buy a farm in Nicaragua, right? I post about it, and you comment, and you said, wow, how did you meet Monty? And I was like, wait, how do you know Monty? You guys that are listening, from now to the time, this moment will still go down as one of the most, like, holy cow, are you kidding me? Of course, this is what's happening, like all the feels at one time. And she said, that's the community that we built that school for 3 years ago in the Courage to Fly project. And I just like sat and cried for a long time. I mean, it still makes me cry thinking about it.
Yeah.
And in that moment, I just thought, wow, that was the full circle. That's why I had to be part of that, right? And you just never know, like, who's going to be blessed by the work that you do. So it was so fun because we didn't even meet in real life until probably 2 years after that, right?
Yes, I know. The connection is so real, and the magic is so real. And it's that the understanding too, that when we are saying yes to our soul's calling, whether it's jumping out of an airplane or starting a business or speaking on stages or showing up to serve on these beautiful trips, or however we are saying yes in each moment to our soul, that's where it's every yes leads to the next yes, right? And it's so beautiful to see these confirmations of exactly this full circle moment. I know you were looking for a women's collective, and each door kept getting closed, and then all of a sudden here you are in the community with the women who are sending their children to the school that we built, and you didn't even know it was them. And I'm like, you didn't realize that was the school, and you had even gone and visited it. So it's just this beautiful, this is how we live our lives. Yes. We live our lives in magic. We live our lives in trust. Yeah. We live our lives in such alignment with who we are that the universe shows up and provides a pathway forward that we couldn't even dream up if we tried.
I have even thought of anything more perfect than that. Exactly. And it was little breadcrumbs. And you're right. Yeah. It's when we say yes, when we give ourselves permission to listen to those little inklings, to those little divine inspirations. You know, I talk about this a lot. It's like when we allow ourselves to do the thing that we were meant to do, to use our greatest strengths and our deepest truths and our most passionate callings, that's when I call it life on the magic carpet. Like, it is a magic carpet ride. And once you're on, all you have to keep doing is saying yes and listening, staying in alignment. Now, not to say you don't get a little bit off, like you might veer a little too far to the right or left, but you just kind of come back to center and you just keep going. And it's like one step and then one step and then one step. And things keep happening so beautifully and so perfectly. So from that point, what has also been so lovely is just the way so by the way, really quickly, so we built 10 homes. So it didn't take 10 years. So you know how I said 10 years from 40 to 50, right? We were going to build schools. Instead of schools, we did one school, 10 homes, and now all those women and families are in a very safe and forever space, right?
So magical.
So that's really just really beautiful in and of itself.
And again, it comes back to this piece of collaboration that we don't have to do it alone. And I think I think we're talking about the new way of doing business, and that it doesn't have to be hard. It doesn't have to be hustling. It doesn't have to be alone. And I think so often we feel alone at times in business. We feel alone as we're going for our dreams and dreaming big, but it's about finding the people that hold those visions. And I remember that first time meeting you, we were both speaking at an event together, and we sat down in this beautiful space. I don't even remember. It was just this luxurious space, and we're sitting on the couch together, and you flick your beautiful locks to the side, and you ask me that question. You're like, right now, like, what is the dream? Like, if you could be doing anything, anywhere, anytime, what is a dream? And I just remember feeling so seen and so held in that vision for myself, because a lot of times we don't have those people when we're getting started that truly can hold space for an even bigger vision than we dream up. And as creatives and entrepreneurs, we have these beautiful visions, but being able to be with someone who understands that that is all possible and more, and that
more, and more, right?
and it can be easy and fun and beautiful, and we don't need to push or strive or hustle. That it truly is like stepping into, whether you're male or female, that feminine energy of receiving and openness, and like you said, following these breadcrumbs of not having to have a plan or a 5-year plan. I'm like, I have like a today plan. I don't have a 5-year plan. I have a right now plan, and it is beautiful. And when we can be so present in this moment with who we are, me and you right now, this is a moment of reflection and honoring of the journey we've been on. But from here, magic unfolds, and it's so powerful.
It's so powerful. And I love that when you talk about this new way of doing business, yes. I really believe, and you and I have had conversations about this, that part of the whole reason I started my business is because I had gone from like senior level executive, like all these people, like I was surrounded by people all the time, and they were amazing, right? It was all day, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. People. I leave that, and I'm like, oh wait, now I'm all by myself all the time. So to find people that you can come together with in community and in collaboration and in support of the dreams and the visions that we want to create, it's so beyond powerful. And I think what's been lovely is to watch your journey the last couple of years into kind of this new thing that you're doing, right? This new thing. I don't even know what we call it yet, but
Yep. Launching $1 million businesses, which pairs beautifully with your vision of being able to be in this space of creating a collective of people who are wanting to, like you say, serve more, make more, so we can give more, and collectively getting people to that $1 million space so that we can collectively bring in this beautiful opportunity to serve on such a bigger, deeper level together. Because it goes right back to that school, right? That one school of, we did it together. We had 60 beautiful change makers raise their hand, share the project, get in on the fundraising, that we were able to hit that $10,000 goal in 6 weeks. People were like, not only did we hit that goal, but in 6 weeks we built a website. We had everybody's like profiles. We wrote the book. We edited the book. We had the book ready to go. Like, raise the $10,000. Like, so many people said that's not possible. But I remember being so pulled by that vision and so connected to it on a heart level. It wasn't that I thought I was getting something out of this at all, but what came from it is the connections, the community, the understanding that we are not alone, but also that totally spurred on my business of realizing I want to work with powerhouse women in this way of like being able to collaborate, being able to serve, being able to give back. And that's what your vision is. And again, that's why we're here today. And that's why we're still in each other's world and orbit, is because we see the power in partnership. We see the power in being able to create massive wealth and abundance for the greater good.
Right.
That we're able to use it in a positive way, and that we can bring in the feminine power into abundance and wealth and create massive ripples of change in the world. And that is powerful.
That feels so good. I mean, oh, just the full body chills of watching the vision come to fruition. Because I don't know if you remember, but I planted the seed when we were in New York at the UN, remember? In 2018, the last time we were at the plaza, and I kind of cast the first vision of the Soul-Centered CEO and what I thought it could be. And it's been a few iterations, right? But what you just said really does just anchor in the truth of the fact that at first I was like, well, I need to make millions and millions of dollars because I want to give $1 million, right? It's gone from 10,000 now to $1 million. Okay, whatever.
Love it.
But the truth is, I don't have to give $1 million by myself, but collectively, when we come in as a community together, it's a lot easier to make big impact when you realize you don't have to do it alone. So that's the beauty of that very first lesson, really, 7 years ago in the Courage to Fly, is really, I don't have to have the 10,000 by myself. Now I can just contribute to something bigger.
And I feel like there's something coming for me right now that's like, and this is so important too, is that piece of a collective vision, right? And that we can all, it's a deeper level than we've ever realized of collaboration. It truly is, as I rise, you rise, and we rise together. It's no longer, there is no room for lack or scarcity or fear or judgment or competition in the new way of business. It is this deep level of understanding that we truly, like, on a soul level, are connected, and in this power that we are finding driving us towards a common vision of, being able to impact millions, to make millions, and to give millions together. We all might take a slightly different path and journey, but when we all hold that collective vision, then the universe shows up to say, all right, let's do the magic. Let's help. But also, and it's not outside of ourselves. We decide. That's another piece of it, is like, we get to decide because we are the creators. And yes, we are co-creating with the universe, but we are the creators, right? That's what my friend Joy always teaches, is like, think like the universe, right? And it is this powerful concept of being able to be in the energy of what we are envisioning with a collective of people who are carrying that same energy, frequency, and vision.
Yes.
Obviously is going to get us there quicker, faster, easier.
Totally. And, I think part of what I have experienced in having deep relationships, like soul friends, where I can speak my deepest truth and say my biggest dreams, the ones that most people would be like, she's so crazy. Why would she even think she could do that, right? Whereas if I told you, you'd be like, done. When's it happening? Like, let's make it happen, right? That to me is where such power comes in community, right? And in collaboration, when I can share with you, this is a big dream, and you're like, great, all hands on deck. Let's lift this dream. It's like when I asked Yaskara in Nicaragua, what is the biggest dream that you have for your life right now? And she's like, I want a farm. And in 10 days, there was a farm gifted.
Yes.
Like, that is the level of ease and grace that is available to us when we all stand together with a common vision and a common purpose. And I think right now, what's happening, at least on the world stage, there is a lot of suffering and a lot of need. There are more people in need probably right now than maybe there have ever been. And so there is going to be a need for those of us that can to do it, right? What is that phrase, or it's a scripture, I always forget. For much that has been given, much is expected, something like that, right? So it's kind of like we're all being called forth as leaders to rise into the next level of our visibility, of our impact, and our expansion, so that way when the need arises, we're able to show up and we're able to give in a way that feels like such a blessing, not only to ourselves, because really giving is also such a blessing for us, the givers, but also for those that will be receiving. So it's just such a beautiful, it's a beautiful time for this new business model that I think is emerging. It's perfect. And I love what you're doing, focusing now on helping, right? Because it's kind of like it's just the extension of what you've been doing. How to share your message, right? How to get clear on what it is on your story. How do you share your message? And how do you create the magic? And then now you're just allowing yourself almost to be a vessel of allowing it to be easy and helping people step into that next layer of themselves and their leadership and their millions, frankly.
Exactly.
So that way they can be more in the world. Yeah.
Well, and I love, like, one of the things that the people that I support have said over and over is just what I felt with you on that couch, is that it is that I hold a vision. You know, when we say, what are their goals? What are their intentions for this launch experience? You know, helping people to launch their work into the world in a big way, but through partnership. That's the new difference, is really me being able to see that relationships have been the key to everything in my business. That it is the foundation of everything in our lives, is the relationships that we hold dear. And so it is about connection at the foundation of our work. Is when you rise, when I rise, we rise together, that whole concept. But it is this power of collaboration now bringing your work out into the world. But one of the things that those beautiful souls that I support always say is that you see it and you believe it with such surety. You know, when they're wavering, when they're uncertain because our own fears and insecurities bubble up, I can continue to hold that vision of impact and income for them as they step into that vision themselves. And that's beautiful. But all of it has happened. This magic of impact and income growth and expansion in their businesses has come through the power of partnerships. And that's a piece that I see is the new way of business. It's, again, coming back to that piece, we don't need to do it alone. And that when we support one, we support all, and getting behind visions and missions that you believe in, and supporting in, you know, this collaborative wealth and abundance that we are able to receive by supporting each other in our soul's work. There is nothing like it out there. It's like, yes, 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 this is the way. This is the way.
And I think too, you can see the vision beyond the vision, right? Because for me, what I've experienced is, even with this model of business that I've been in the last 5 years, I've just celebrated 5 years of sparkling, right? And what I remember thinking was, I wanted to look like this and I wanted to be this. And then I had a dear friend at an event. She said, you know, I just have this vision of you. You're dressed in white and you have this lawn full of women and they're dressed in white and you're just like teaching and you're this and you're that and da da da. And I remember the very first time I walked around the corner at the Ojai experience, my very first retreat, there's a lawn full of women dressed in white. And I was like, oh my gosh, like it's happening, you know? Yeah. So I think sometimes we are limited in what we can see that is possible for ourselves. And it takes that community, that connection, the depth of the relationships to speak the truth. And the truth is, we're all capable and worthy of making millions.
Yes.
We are.
Yes.
We are. And if we have the right strategy, and if we have the right support, and we have the right energetics, the vibration, the frequency to hold it, and enough healing to receive it.
Yeah.
Right? Those are all pieces of it, you know? And in order to step into that level, that to me is what, that's what we're creating here in this Soul-Centered CEO movement. And that's exactly also what you're creating with the work that you're doing with your clients.
Absolutely. It's beautiful. And it is, again, that we can each bring our own way, our own brilliance, our own pieces of that puzzle to create that kind of impact collectively. And I feel like, looking at this conversation, like the keys of what you're creating are the collaboration, the community, the higher vision, the abundance and wealth, the ability, like you just said, to be able to receive. That was a huge part of my last 2 years, is realizing that I was able to create a lot of revenue in my business, but there were a few things that happened. One was I let it go almost as quickly as it came in, because I had a ceiling, a belief that I could not earn more than my spouse at the time. And so I continued to let that money energetically seep out without fully consciously being aware of that.
Sure.
Right. I didn't see that then, but I see it now.
Yep.
There was a striving and a proving energy where I got to a place in my business of, yes, you know, I'm making $500,000 a year or whatever it is, and yet I am hustling hard and I am working all the time and I am over giving to the point of burning out. And when my marriage dissolved and when I found myself in this place of ultimate healing, and I stepped back from my business, and I realized that even though there was the heart and the soul and the alignment at one point, as we grow, our businesses grow.
Sure.
They need to shift as we shift. And so as I stepped into greater consciousness, as I started to do my own healing work, as I started to peel back the layers of the reasons why I was always seeking, you know, approval and validation through my work, and I healed that little girl in me and those stories, I was able to now, I show up and I am me, and people come to me saying, how can I pay you to work with you? Like, I haven't even shared or promoted, and I am receiving abundantly. It's this energetic alignment with who I am, but also the healing work, the understanding, the devotion to my inner world that then reflects my outer world, the ability for me to lean into ultimate trust, because I know I am supported. I know that I have my own back, and that I have others who also have my back, as well as having that divine connection with source, where I know that that's where all flows in and through, and all of that comes to me when I release control, when I release fear, when I release the need to be anything other than just who I am in this present moment. And so it's this powerful opportunity for all of us through our work to actually find the truth of who we are. And in this journey of vice versa, I don't believe that we are separate from our work in the world. We are our work. And so as we focus inward, as we find our soul alignment, as we come into our heart space and heal those little parts of us that are looking for something outside of ourselves to make us whole, when we come to this place of wholeness just because we are, that is where, when we create from that space, when we energetically put out our work in the world from that place of wholeness and service and truth, and really deeply understanding why we're doing it, then all the people show up in that way to support you in carrying it out. But also, we can just receive. And I think that there is this feeling of, even, you know, the millions, you know, we can get into our heads, and if we just sit in the vision of the why, going back to that very first story, making our why bigger than our fear or our insecurities or any of those things, if we really sink into our why and we are led by that bigger vision, the millions will come, because we have a channel for them to go, for that millions to go, to not only serve and enrich our own lives, but to serve and enrich others, the lives of our global brothers and sisters as well.
Exactly. It's so beautiful. And I also feel like, you know, we've been given these divine inspirations, right? And I always think about the fact that those are really drops from the divine. Like, those are like gifts from God saying, I need you to create this book, you know, whatever it is, or this experience, or this product, or this thing, so you can be of service to humanity. And to me, the greatest way that we can honor the divinity within us and outside of us, is to act on those inspirations. And it's so beautiful to see when, just like we talked about earlier, the ripple effect of when you showed up and did the thing that you felt called to do, how that allowed me to take a piece of that and expand into, okay, well, this is what I can do. And then this is what I can do. And now, like, you know, the impact that we've made, even just in a few short years of doing our business in the way that we have. You know, I just, like I said, celebrated 5 years, and I just heard some stories and feedback, and I'm thinking, all I did was create something that I wanted to do, that I felt inspired to do, and I just did it. And I invited people to come into that with me, and their lives were changed, and their lives were transformed and impacted just because I did the thing that I was most inspired to do. And I think it's so beautiful to see other women and other leaders, and men and women both, when they act on that divine inspiration and they allow themselves just to be a conduit, like you said, it's just flowing through you, you know, and then it flows with such ease and grace. And it's such a beautiful way for us all to be a blessing, just because we're giving ourselves permission to do the thing that we're meant to do. So I love it. I could talk to you all day, Chantelle. I mean, I know that we have like a million other stories, but maybe we'll have to do another interview. What I would like to say in completion of this, because it's not complete, ever really going to be complete, but I feel like it's just beginning, to be quite honest. But I just want to invite all of you that are listening, either live or on the replay at any point in time, that if you feel called to this kind of conversation, to this kind of collaboration or community, and you would like more of that in your life, I hope that you'll reach out, because we are co-creating, if you will, a really beautiful opportunity for us to do life and business differently. And we are stepping into a whole new way of being and doing and serving in the world. And we'd love, love, love for you to be part of that. If you feel called to this idea of becoming a soul-centered CEO, if you are a 6-figure business owner or close to that and want to grow your business to that $1 million mark, and then join us in the giving, because that really is what this is all about. We want to, again, with this mission, help each other make more so we can serve more and ultimately give more. So it's an honor to have you with us today, Chantelle. I'm so thankful for just the blessing that you are in the world and for the work that you're doing. It's so fun to just have watched your evolution over these last few years that we've known each other. And I just can't wait to see what else is in store for you. And I'm just so thankful to have you in my life and in my inner circle and part of my my community and my partnerships of all the ways, right? So thank you so much.
Thank you. This has been absolutely beautiful. And I know that this is just the beginning. So thank you. Thank you.
You bet. All right. Thank you all for joining us today. And we appreciate you so much. And we'll look forward to the next episode of the Soul Centered CEO Show.